Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about riding motorcycles in cold weather with accessible gear that's not too expensive. The reason I'm talking about this is I love riding in cold weather. This is my first upload on my channel, but I'll be uploading motorcycle videos because I've spent many years riding on my 1984 Honda Sabre across North America, across Canada, from Alaska down to California. I love motorcycle trips. I'll be talking about camping and just what it's like to be on a month-long motorcycle trip. But one thing I've always wanted to do is share how to do it in cold weather, because it's something so many riders, have issues with, and I love the feeling when it's colder and you have your gear on, and then you get a cup of coffee. I just think it's the best. It's better than riding in 100 degrees any day, for me. So I want to share my experience of riding over 60,000 miles on my motorcycle on different trips and what kind of gear I used to get through it. And none of it is too fancy. So let's get into it. The first thing, which isn't really gear, and it's kind of the most annoying thing, and I want to get it out of the way, because this isn't something you could just go out and get right now if you don't have it. But having a fairing on the motorcycle is really important if you're going to do long distance cold weather riding. You could ride for 30 minutes or an hour with good gear and no fairing on a smaller bike or something like that. But if you're going to do a trip in September, October in Canada or northern parts of America, or like I left in September from Alaska, my first trip down to California, and I was starting the bike in 28 degrees Fahrenheit in the morning. I don't think I would have made it without a fairing, to be honest. So it was my first trip. I didn't really know what I was doing. So I was grateful for that, and it's very useful. That being said, all the gear I go through today will help, even if you don't have a fairing. But if you are interested in doing long distance cross-country trips, having a fairing on your motorcycle is really something you got to look into, just to if you're going to do cold weather riding especially. So first piece of gear is the helmet, and I know it's like a motocross style helmet, but this was my first motorcycle, a friend of mine helped me kind of pick it out, and he had extra gear lying around, a jacket and this helmet, so he gave this to me, so I didn't have to purchase it in the beginning, which was great, because I had a lot of little things to buy. I've worn this about 60,000 miles. It's just kind of a classic open face helmet, but it's got the cover here. It's not a closed helmet though. It doesn't have any visor or anything. These were the goggles I used, and I have replaced these because these got beat up. As you can see, they're pretty gnarly at this point, but I just had these goggles and this helmet, and then for night riding I threw on a pair of clear, goofy looking goggles, glasses, because the tint on these makes it really difficult when it gets dark. So that's what I had helmet wise. Nothing special in terms of cold weather, but this piece of gear is special. So if you don't have this for cold weather, I highly recommend it, and I think I can find a link and put it in the description for Amazon. But this is a face mask style, like the ninja style, goes up over your nose and over your head, and then you put the helmet on top of it. It's caught by a company called King Bike. So this thing looks like it's brand new still. I've worn it. I bought it in 2018, so I've had it about 6 years of a lot of trips. Really important. That you really need, especially in inclement weather with rain. Cold rain really sucks to get that smacking in your face for an entire ride when I've forgotten that thing or don't have it on yet, or and I'm riding, you know, it really is frustrating to ride for a long time without that. Plus, when it's really cold, I highly suggest getting one of those. Next thing, show the gloves. These are really basic. I think they were $30 gloves. I think I can find the link of those on Amazon. I've had these 6 years, and they're still holding up. It's a thin sillet lining inside. Honestly, these gloves work really good until you hit the 30s Fahrenheit. If you're in the 30s, you will feel the wind cut through them. And here is my first like real hack for riding in the cold. You put a pair of latex gloves on underneath, and it cuts the wind. The wind won't be hitting your hand really. So that helps tremendously in the cold. And the other trick is put a hand warmer on the top of your hand, because that's where all your veins are going to your fingers. So it actually heats up better than having it in the cup of your hand. And you know, it's not perfect. None of these are all cheap solutions. When people have heated hand warmers or heated gloves, I'm not gonna invest in those because I get by with these things, and I like having things simple and cheap. You know, I'd like to spend money in other ways on bigger trips and go longer than having gloves that cost $100 instead of $30. So this is the first real hack of the video, to have the latex gloves on underneath your gloves. You could also fit a pair of small mittens too, I'm sure, like the real close ones if you wanted another layer. Then put the latex first, then the mittens, then the big gloves. And you know, that's how I got down from Alaska in the low 30s, just with those gloves and the latex and the hand warmers on top. It was hard, but like I said, in the 40s, even upper 30s, those gloves are great. Boots I wore on most of my trips. I get just kind of regular, they're like high ankle Timberland boots. So these are nice. These are, you know, $120 boots, and I've gone through 3 or 4 pairs of them, but I work in them. I do construction, and I ride all my trips with these. I don't like to wear riding boots, specific, any kind of stiff motorcycle riding boots, because I like to hike and I like to, I'm on motorcycle trips. I'm not going to have 2 big clunky pairs of boots or whatever. These are great. I love the Timberlands. Obviously wear like a thick pair of socks, double up on socks to get through the really colder, much colder weather. Now going from there, here's the what I wear on my legs. So you start with long johns. Got to have long johns. Pretty simple, really necessary. This I have these Carhartts that are lined. That was another gift. My friend who put on a few pounds when I was visiting him, he gave me these 32 waist Carhartts, which I was really grateful for. When I was on my trip through Canada, I met him in Burlington, Vermont, and it was really nice to get a pair of these while before I was taking off on that. And lastly, probably most importantly, is a pair of weatherproof pants, like kind of like snow pants. I got these at a thrift store for like $10, $12 maybe. They zip at the bottom, so if your boots are big, you can zip around them. Here's the next hack that's really necessary for cold weather on a budget. So you've got your long johns, your lined pants, hopefully, and then your definitely you need these weatherproof pants on the outside to cut the wind, and in case you hit any rain or anything, or snow possibly. This is the hack. Use in some rubber bands, put them on before you put your boots on. It's a lot to remember. Half the time I would forget, but this was so important on my trip from Alaska to California when it was in the low 30s Fahrenheit. I put these around, you know, my leg at the bottom so that wind doesn't sneak up underneath from my boots to my pants. And you look kind of stupid, maybe, but it doesn't matter. You're, out there riding in extreme temperature. It just feels awesome to be the only biker on the road, and you know taking trips in cold weather. So if you want to do it, that's another big hack, is just put a rubber band around your pants there so that you're not getting wind shooting up from the bottom. So going on from there, just want to talk about what I wear on my body, the layers. And that's pretty simple. So I'll start. This is another really basic but important thing to have. This is just a basic undershirt. But this is just cold weather in general. If keeping your core connected, having these tucked into your pants and keeping that seal where your pants meet your shirts is so important. And there's nothing better than just a cheap basic undershirt like that. So always carry a couple of those. Next thing I would wear is a t-shirt, basic t-shirt, and then basically what I have on here, like a tighter long sleeve. On top of that, I wear another like long sleeve, no hood. There's no reason to have a hood. I don't ride with any kind of hood on. So I like hoodies, but I don't travel with them on motorcycle trips because they're bulky and you don't need anything there getting in the way of your comfort with the helmet on. So this is a non-hood, just regular sweater. It's a little thicker than this one. The next one, this was another gift to me on my first motorcycle trip. But getting something like this at a thrift store would be really great. This is like a North Face, good quality. I don't know the material. I've worn this on almost all my motorcycle rides too. It's thin, but it's another layer, and it just keeps the heat in a little better. But you could get by with a variation of any of those things. These things I highly recommend, the outerwear. I always wear a leather jacket, and this is just like I get them from thrift stores for $20 or $30. Like I've done this every 4 or 5 years. I'll buy a new leather jacket, and or I'll buy a used leather jacket from a thrift store for $20-$30. The important thing on motorcycle trips is this is kind of oversized, but here I'll show you. So what's important is that it goes down below my waistline. So again, just those seams where wind could get in. If you have a shorter leather jacket that kind of meets here, like where your belt line is, instead of going past it. If you have a leather jacket that goes to your waistline and not past it, it's going to let air in. And so I think that's very important. And then my last piece here is my riding jacket. This is just, again, it's pretty beat up, but, basic. It's actually a snowmobiling jacket. But this is something you have to spend money on. Again, I was gifted. I was very fortunate when I was leaving. I was working in Alaska at a lodge, and a guy helped me pick out the bike to get because I didn't really know what I was doing, and I wasn't even thinking about getting a fairing. And he had this extra snowmobiling jacket he didn't need. He had that helmet, and my other friend gave me that North Face. Just great gear. This is a Polaris. What I love about this, it has vents. It's been with me on basically every trip. I can wear it in warm weather too. If it's a little chilly and I just want a t-shirt and this jacket, it has vents. So it's got good airflow. So it's always with me, and it's just really important. It's completely weatherproof. This jacket is probably pretty expensive. It's probably $200 or more. And if you don't have anything like that, maybe try and find a good used one. I think that in terms of money on gear, you can get away with everything kind of on the cheap, except the jacket, the boots, and yeah, pretty much the jacket and the boots. Everything else, getting by with these gloves. I would say gloves normally, but those gloves have kind of gotten me through everything, and I don't regret having them. So cool, we're almost at the end here. Last thing, I want to show this. I always ride now. I didn't my first trips, but this has been such a nice addition. I have this little Camelback, and I don't wear it like a backpack. I have an Osprey alt like waterproof backpack that I strap on to my back seat. That's what I keep most of my gear in, and it has 2 straps on the top, so I just tuck it in one of those straps, and I have accessible water for while I'm riding, where I don't have to get up, get off the bike, and undo my trunk or my saddlebags and get some water out. I can just be at a stoplight and turn around and take a sip of water. And that's not cold weather specific, but in any kind of riding, that is just such a benefit to have. Anyone who's done long trips and you're trying to make time for some reason, you don't want to stop and get your shit out and get back on the bike just to have a sip of water, because you got to take the helmet off and everything. So you don't have to do any of that. You just take a sip of your Camelback with your helmet on, the bike's still running, and you go. Staying hydrated like that, it's important in any type of weather. And then the last thing I'll show too is just my tank bag. Again, it's not cold weather specific, but this is where I keep my face mask when I don't need it at first. This is where I keep my latex gloves. So this is where I keep my night riding goggle. So all the stuff you need like quick access to is really important to have a tank bag. Yeah, and the last 2 things I kind of keep in there. Helpful if your eyes start burning, just get some of the eye drops, and then like for your hands if they get chapped from the cold weather riding, it's good to have something to put on your hands. So that's all the gear I use in the cold weather for riding. And again, it's some of my favorite riding I've ever done. Some of my favorite trips have been extreme trips where I might see 1 or 2 motorcycles for days who are doing it, and if I see them at a gas station, we're like, oh, what's up, you're out here too right now? Yeah, just keep your season longer. You can keep riding maybe a couple more months than some of the other people who are putting their bikes away. When it gets into the 50s, you can ride into the 40s, you can ride into the 30s. It's I'd recommend all that gear I mentioned in the 30s for any kind of long trips. But you can have a lot of fun. I know I have. So thank you for watching my video, and I'm going to make more about my motorcycle trips. I want to do a video about just gear for what kind of gear I bring on a long-term motorcycle trip. And I do a lot of camping, so I'm going to go through what kind of camping gear I can bring with me and in my saddlebags and be all contained and nice and packed together. So yeah, stick around and check out some more videos as they come. Like and subscribe if you can, and thank you very much.